This is Cindy Manier from Aduda Book Creator. In this video, I'll show you how to create multiple tables with the Ledger tool. To get to the tool, click on Other Tools, Ledger Tool. Start off by selecting your trim size. I'm going to use 8 by 10. You also want to set your page numbers, whether or not you want full bleed, and what color type you want. I'm going to stick with grayscale. Next, set how much of the page you want your tables to fill. I'm going to use 95%. Before you start working on your individual tables, you're going to want to have mapped out exactly what you want to do. I like to map out in a spreadsheet how many tables I'm going to have, what headings I'm going to have for the rows and the columns, how many rows, how many columns for each table. And then I also want to figure out what percentage I want for each table. So in order to do that, you want to add up how many rows you have, and then for each percentage, it's the number of rows for that table divided by the total. And I just let the spreadsheet figure out the actual number for me. Now that I have all the information about my tables, I can start adding it into the tool. So I'm going to start by putting in that I want 2 tables. And then I'm going to adjust the percentages. I only need to put 1 percentage in this case, because when I click Update Table Sizes, the tool will automatically calculate the remaining size for the other table. Now I'm going to input the data for each one of the tables. So I'm going to start with Table 1, and I know I have 2 columns and 5 rows, so I'm going to put that in here under number of columns and number of rows. It should actually have been 2 rows and 5 columns, so let's switch those 2 numbers around. The next thing we're going to do is add our headings. So I'm going to put headings for columns, and I'm going to go back over to my spreadsheet, and I'm going to cut and paste the column headings so I don't have to type them in. Defaults to having all of your columns be the same column width, but you can change that by going to evenly spaced columns and switching it to specify column widths. So I'm going to change different columns here to be different width sizes till I get them the way I want. You can take add column if you want to adjust additional columns, say which number you want to adjust, put the width, go back and look at it, see if you like it, you want to make anything else changing. So you can get it to be just exactly the way you want it to look. Now that I have everything the way I want it for table 1, I'm going to go and work on table 2. So you click on Setting Values for Table, and you switch it from table 1 to table 2 to now input the values for table 2. I know that table 2 has 30 rows and 5 columns, so I'm going to start off by inputting that data. Next, I'm going to go and cut and paste my column headings. I don't want my columns to be equally spaced, so I'm going to specify the column widths, and I'm going to change all the ones that I want to make smaller or bigger until I get it to look the way I want it to look. The space left over after you add up all the widths for all the columns you specified will be divided evenly between all the columns that you didn't specify. Next, I want to set a background color for my rows for this table. I think I want a little bit lighter color, so I just slide the little fill color slider till I get it to be the way I like it. And I also want to fill every other row, so I change it from first row to every other row. Now I like the way that looks, and I want the top column first row to match, so now I'm going to go back to table 1, change fill row to yes, and change the slider to be the same number that I used before. The last thing that I'm going to do is add a title, and I have it stored over here, so I'm going to cut and paste it. It's going to be car maintenance log. Now that I have everything the way I want it, I can either download as a PDF or I can save it to my files. I'm going to click Save to My Files, and then I can enter a name for this. I'm going to call it Car Maintenance Log, and now it's been saved to my files. I can also download it by clicking Download PDF, and the PDF will automatically be downloaded, and there it is, all 100 pages of it. If you click on Account, Files, you can then go see that the file's been saved. I'm going to show you another example, and this time I'm going to use color to show you how you could make perhaps a printable for Etsy. This example is going to be a self-care daily check-in. I've created a spreadsheet that has all the information, so I can just cut and paste it in here. So there's 3 tables, so I put that. By default, the table sizes will all be set to exactly the same amount, divided evenly throughout the page. So if you want to specify just one table size, then the remaining space is going to be divided equally between all the remaining tables. Next, I'm going to input my table percentages that I calculated in the spreadsheet, and then I'm going to click on Update Table Sizes. Now I'm going to input the number of rows and columns that I want for each one of the tables. Next, I'm going to add my headers. I have row colors that I want that I have put into my spreadsheet, so I can cut and paste it. Next, I'm going to cut and paste my column header. I want the second column to be sort of a checklist column so people can check off if they did the activities. So I'm going to make the first column really wide, so I have just a small spot left for the check marks. Now I'm going to cut and paste the headings for the rows. I want it to start on the second row, so I'm adding a space there. And I want it to be left justified. Now I'm going to start working on table 2. So I need to switch it from setting values from table 1 to setting values for table 2. And I can cut and paste my header, change headings to yes, paste my value in here. In this case, I don't want my first row to be so huge, so I'm going to do first row special, change it to yes, and that looks like a good size, so I'm going to leave it at the 0.25. And now I'm going to set the color, fill row, cut and paste the color in. Next, I'm going to set up the values for the third table. First, I'll cut and paste the heading and add that in. Then I'm going to select the fill row color and cut and paste the number that I want to use. The last thing I need to do is add my row headers. So I'm going to cut and paste them. I forgot to add a space because I wanted to bump it down, so we'll add that space in. Now it's just the way I want it. The only thing missing is the title, so I'm going to cut and paste that from my spreadsheet. Now it's all ready to go. I'm going to change it to one page because if this is going to be an Etsy printable, we just need one page. Click on Download PDF, and now I have it all ready to go. If you have any questions about this tool, you can ask them in our Facebook group or send us a message through our website.